Hey everyone, Dan again from Ghost for another episode of Ghost Talks this Saturday. Tonight I have some great guests to introduce to you. You've probably heard of them over the internet. They are a great team out of Smith Falls, based in Ottawa. And they've been around for quite a long time. So I'm going to be talking about different topics with them tonight. And hopefully, if you guys have any questions, you can just let us know in the chat. So I will introduce them to you right now. Please welcome Mark and Cheryl.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Good. Okay, so I ask everybody the same questions. So I'm gonna ask, like, what's your background? Like, why did you get into the paranormal?
I'll go first. Well,
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure.
It's funny. My whole life, my brother and sister would get scared, and then say I was scared. They would be like, "Mark's scared," so I would be the one they would say that would never spend the night in a haunted house, or it was always Mark was scared, and I wasn't. I lived in a house that was haunted. My mom actually had a Catholic priest come and cleanse. My sister and her and my dad never slept in the house. I slept fine. And so it I kind of tingled with that. It was like, but everybody's like, "Oh, Mark's afraid," and I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm going to bed. Good night." So kind of one of those fun adventures, and then things start happening in your life, and you're like, "Wait a minute, that's weird," or it's a little noise here or there. And then I had an experience one time at my brother's house. He gave me the keys. He had just had a baby and said, "Can you go get me some clothes?" He was at the hospital with his wife. And I was like, "Sure." And I went out to the house, and next thing I know, his kitchen cabinet's empty on the floor.
Okay.
And I was like,
so everything just got thrown out of the cabinets?
yes. And the
Okay.
doors were open. So this was a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, flat, probably like Saskatchewan, New Winchester, Indiana. I ran out to the side of the door of the house that was soybeans, so I could see if somebody was messing with me for a mile in all directions. There was no one there. And next thing I know, I'm just cold as walked in the house. My breath is blowing in my face, and I'm ready to kind of just get his clothes, get out. Long story short, I went to the hospital. My brother said, "Oh, that's been happening all week. Thank God you went there, not me."
So what you're saying, you got into the paranormal, like I think most of us do, is because of paranormal experiences, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had experiences and we kind of want validation, I guess, right?
Yeah, I wanted to. I wish I had all my equipment then.
Yeah, so did I. That house I lived in, I wish I had all my stuff back then, but unfortunately I didn't. What about you, Cheryl? Like, what kind of experience or what brought you to the paranormal?
Honestly, I was trying to think about it, and my first paranormal experience, I was 12 years old, and a neighbor friend had passed away at a very young age, and I had an experience in my bedroom where I believe that her spirit came to visit me to let me know that she was okay. Fast forward a number of different experiences through the rest of my life. And then there was one house where I lived in with my kids. And the house was so active, slamming doors, things we couldn't explain, including voices of people that weren't in the house. My own kids saw things that they explained as the shadow man or the man with the hat in the basement. Yeah, it was just so many unexplained incidences or occasions that it made me want to know more, made me want to know more and want to know why.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what connect.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much everybody that actually gets into the paranormal. It's always the same thing, right? We have experiences that we can't explain, and then we try to wonder, why did this happen, or how did it happen, or is it even possible? A lot of the stuff sometimes, I guess, we experience would defy the laws of physics, and I guess that's why we get into it.
Oh, absolutely. Nothing like having no breeze in the house and the door slamming in your face, and you're like, that's a little odd.
But that's the kind of stuff at an investigation that you want, to have happen, right?
And we never can anymore.
Now we
Exactly.
do. Now we do. Now, if I would love to get a window or a door slammed in my face and there's nobody on the other side, because that would be wow. That's cool evidence. As long as you got a camera to capture it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always want a camera, but it's never there when you need it.
We're always
No.
asking.
And I think most investigators, I'm sure you guys are the same way, agree that the two best pieces of equipment would be audio and video, right? When you capture evidence, I mean, these are things
Yeah.
that, a video of something, moves and you capture it on camera. That's just you can't explain that. And audio, if there's only two people in a room and suddenly there's a third voice, that's validation, right?
Yeah, it's the two things. Audio's, if you get something that gives you an intelligent response and it's not a random response,
Yeah.
it's hard for somebody to debunk that, especially if it answers your question.
Exactly. Like an intelligent response to a question.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me about your team, the Nightwatchmen investigative team. Like, when did you guys start it? Who are your members, and what are your basic, your principles or your investigative methods? Like, how do you work?
We started the team out with Roger Miller as founder. It's me, Roger, Deborah, and Cheryl. We're the four founders. We have other members that come around off, once in a while. Lucy moved away she's 4 hours east of here now, so we don't get to investigate with her often. Then we have other people that come around. Our historian's 94 years old. We love it. If Shirley sees this, I give her a shout out. We love you.
I wonder if she might be watching. You never know.
She might.
She might be watching. Yeah.
Due to COVID, we can't go hug her all the time, which
yeah.
She sits at our nerve center at her age and just has more fun than we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, I'm hoping that at that age that I can have as much fun as well. I mean, yeah.
We've got other people that we've given shirts to that are members. They go. Sometimes they come and help us. They're honorary members, but that's our basic right now is me, Cheryl, Roger, and Deborah.
Okay.
And then if we pick up somebody, we do. We're looking on and off, but at the same time, it's got to be the right fit.
And I think that's the thing with a lot of teams, including my team. It's finding the right people that fit in to your bubble, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Our bubble's tight. We kind of do. It's more. I guess if you watch this on TV, you would spend more time laughing at us or getting slap happy. It's lighthearted. We do the scientific. We prefer to be scientific, but when you say scientific, we've talked about this, Dan. Paranormal, there's no science to this. I mean,
it's all like not even a theory. It's I'm going to use a big word, hypothesis, right? Even the equipment we use, we don't know if it's legit. But then again, what else do we have at our disposal? I mean, we got cameras, recorders, and then we have all the EMF meters that are supposed to be made for paranormal investigators. Do we really know if all this stuff works? We don't. But the thing is, what else do we have? We don't have a lot at our disposal. So, we get a lot of flack from people going, oh, you use, unvalidated or uncertified equipment, all this stuff. Well, then fine. If you want to invent a piece of equipment that you're going to be 100,000% sure is going to capture a ghost, an entity, or the energy of a spirit, by all means, do it and we'll use it, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. If somebody come up with the right equipment for us, we'd be happy. But you can't prove. We've got some good stuff we'll talk about later tonight.
Yeah, because we're going to go over a couple of pieces of equipment, actually, right?
Yeah.
So we have a couple of comments here. We have actually Roger's on. Hey, Roger, how are you? Hey, Roger's there. So Roger is one of their team members, and we have Mark Mooney is on right now. And Rebecca is on. Hello, my paranormal friends from Pennsylvania. So we have a couple of people from the stateside watching. This is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
And my daughter is also on the tech side. She helps us out with social media and some of the tech things. So if she comes on,
yeah. Well, you should have put her on with you tonight. She could have fed in from wherever she is, from her place, I guess. If she doesn't, does she still live with you guys?
No.
Okay.
Empty nest.
Empty nest. Yeah. At our age, I think all their nests are empty.
Yes.
Okay, so we had a couple of topics we wanted to talk about. So I'm going to bring these up right now. So I did ask you so you guys told me about how you got into the paranormal. Now, as investigators, what was your most memorable or maybe haunting experience you've ever had while investigating the paranormal?
Well, my most memorable is West Virginia Penn.
Yeah.
When we went
Same.
there, I talk about it a lot. We went there, we were out of our element. We booked a late night tour for 4 hours where we could go on our own. We grabbed our 2 cases of gear. Cheryl and I showed up, and next thing you know, another paranormal team showed up with their stuff, and we got let loose. And it was beautiful. I mean, I want to go back now and rent the place out for the night. Just you could feel the inhuman. I guess there's supposed to be an inhuman in the kitchen there. You go in the kitchen. For me, I did not want to go in the kitchen after midnight. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that. It just I'm not one to get creeped out, but at that point, that place was creepy. But my most memorable one part about that night was her. My wife and I we went to the boiler room. It's supposed to be the worst place there. We got to the bottom of the stairs, turned the corner, headed to where the guy was horribly murdered down there. And
How did he die?
he was dismembered by 2 other inmates.
Ouch.
So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
not a good way to go.
no, it was horrible because they thought he was a snitch. So
Yeah.
they dismembered him down there. We got to the bottom of the stairs and just suddenly both of us stopped. You know, your hair stands straight up and it's like, oh, why are we here? So we started to walk backwards. Well, I turned around and my wife was gone. And I'm standing there by myself.
Did
And I'm like,
you just take off, Cheryl?
It
You
was,
kind of got scared and say, "Okay, you're on your own, buddy. I'm getting the hell out of here."
I thought he was right behind me, but I'm like, yeah, I'm booking.
yeah, she's
So you
gone.
just
Man.
It was that bad. I mean,
so you just bolted and left your husband behind.
you know, I can
And
run, I can move a little faster. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
It seems when we're scared, we run a little faster than we usually do, right?
Yes.
It's the only time in my life I didn't want to turn around. So I walked backwards.
Yeah.
Well, she ran up the stairs and luckily we asked the guy where death row and the gallows really were there. And it's not where people think. It's actually where a basketball court is.
Yeah.
So she ran out and realized she was standing in the gallows and then met me back at the bottom of the stairs. And she went out to where the death row was.
Yeah.
And had activity on her Eddie lit up.
Oh, yeah. No, this thing was going off like the 4th of July.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I had my recorder going. I had the Eddie going, and I was able to catch things. And I'm like, okay, I got to go back and make sure he's okay.
Well, at least you went back to check on him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got out together. It was fun. The pen is nice because you have bats. So
Oh, we just love bats, right?
yeah, rather than you have bats going over your head.
Yeah. I've actually had that happen when we did the Presbyterian Church in Gananoque. We were in the basement and we saw this thing go by, and it was a bat in the basement. So a couple of the investigators said, "Okay, I'm getting out of here. I don't do well with bats."
Yeah.
So we talked about subjects, the stuff we wanted to talk about tonight. So I'm going to lead into one of the subjects we wanted to talk about because of what you're telling me now about, stuff can get real and you can get scared doing investigations.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk about like people that are new to the paranormal field and that they may think, okay, this is all hunky-dory. It's fun. We're going to go into a nice haunted place and we're going to have fun. We're going to scream like little girls. But we all know as investigators, stuff can get real.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So it's people don't realize what we do, that sometimes but it's not just being scared or something can happen. Sometimes you end up in locations that can be dangerous, old asylums, Floors could be unstable. There's all sorts of things that you can encounter, and this is what new people getting into the paranormal field need to realize. It's not just fun and games, right? It's serious investigating, and yeah, some stuff can happen that's going to scare the crap out of you.
Yeah, and to new people, I just like to say, you'll never be the same.
No,
Once you start
no.
doing this, you won't. Your life will change. When we do a paranormal investigation and everybody looks at TV and says that looks great, I can tell you that I can go out my backyard and cut trees with a chainsaw for 8 straight hours, stack the wood, come inside, hurt for a day, and get on with my life. After a paranormal investigation, it's generally 5 to 7 days of soreness
Hmm.
for me, and we're wiped. I mean, it
Yeah.
wipes you out.
I
And I
think what it is, it wipes you out mentally as well, right?
Yes.
It's not just physical. I mean, we're up for long hours, and if we get into a location that's highly active, I guess the emotions, your brain just works a mile a minute. So it's sometimes like mental exhaustion is worse than physical.
Oh yeah, well, it's like when our equipment drains, if the batteries drain.
Yeah.
We said, well, why did that happen? Well, we as people are also just big batteries. So when we come away from that, we're also drained of our energies, and all we really want to do when we get home is sleep for a while and just think about it, what we saw, what we felt, and why. But yeah, sometimes it takes a lot more or a lot
Mhm.
longer to actually bounce back.
Yeah, yeah, it does. I know. I notice myself as well when I do investigations. If it's a place that's very, very active, it can really, really take its toll on you mentally and physically as well. And so, people getting into the paranormal need to realize this stuff that if you're going to get into this, you need to get into it because you're serious about it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something, we've had a couple incidents post event that were bad. And Roger Miller, I wish he was here to tell this. We left a investigation 3 a.m. 20 minutes later, he called me. He hit a deer, T-boned a deer
Oh,
on the 401.
yeah.
You know, totaled his car. He had to take it off and go get a new car. So that's something a lot of teams don't think of. Is we have a policy that if you're a team member, you will text when you're home, even if
Hmm.
you think the other guy's already home.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we're down in Brockville, which Roger's in that area, and we're in cars, even though we know he's home in 5 minutes, when I get home in an hour, I still text him I'm home. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, we do the same thing. Make sure that people are home safe, especially if you're driving, during bad conditions. If it's winter and the roads are bad, I guess you guys are like me. I want to make sure that my team members get home safely.
That's
Yeah,
paramount.
Yeah,
yeah. You got to
exactly.
make sure everybody makes it, or you got to backtrack and
Yeah.
look for him.
Yeah.
Another incident we had that was a newbie came with us, and he asked for it the whole night. The whole night he was like, "I'm going to see a ghost. I'm going to open doors. I'm going to," and he was everywhere, just you know, full Zach Bagans as I call it. He was provoking,
Yeah.
and asking for it. Well, he got it, and
Yeah.
he got scratched,
Yeah.
and we got called on the way home that he was having a mental meltdown, and
Yeah.
it's like, what do you do with that? It was luckily it turned out okay, but it's something that people don't think of, that this actually, in the night at West Virginia Penn, a woman screamed. We don't know
Hmm.
why, because she ran and left, got in her car, and flew away.
She took
But
off.
she just
Yeah.
took off.
Yeah. Well,
These are all things that can happen.
and I guess that's what new people need to know. It's stuff can happen. I mean, I'm a skeptic to a certain extent. And I guess like you guys, I've had experiences. I know it exists, but I try to have a very skeptic approach to it because I
Yes.
want to have like hardcore evidence. But I do know this kind of stuff happens. I've experienced it myself at the Trinity Inn, where I lost track of time. I became aggressive towards my members. I lost memory. I felt like when finally somebody got me outside, I felt like I was sick to my stomach. I didn't vomit, but I was salivating around the mouth. I was sad. I was crying. I'm not like that when I investigate. So that's an experience that really threw me for a loop. And I went, whoa, like, and the thing is, like you guys said, I did ask for it there. I was asking, okay, touch me, do something. I wanted something to happen. Yeah, you got to be careful because if you ask for it, you're going to get it. And I got it that night, and it was very, very, I wouldn't say traumatizing because I mean this is what we do, right? We get into the paranormal to experience this kind of stuff. So I got over it, but I know for a few days after I was like what the hell just happened? And I actually went to see my doctor, and he ran some tests on my brain, like do I have an aneurysm or something? Like what is it? I lose track of time, and everything was normal. So yeah, when you do paranormal investigation, stuff can get real. Now, whether or not, like I said, I'm a skeptic whether or not this was some kind of spirit attachment or whatever the heck it was. I know for a fact that it was not myself. And it really, really, when I saw the actual video footage from the DVR cameras, I went, wow, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Because I had a different recollection. I said, no, I didn't go there. And my members are saying, no, you did go there and you did do this. I said, no, I didn't do that. I said, well, they said, look at the cameras. And they were right. And I said, I don't remember doing this stuff. So it can get real. So newbies out there, be careful if you're getting into the paranormal. Stuff can get real. All sorts of things can happen. You still have to be skeptic, but I mean more on a maybe spiritual side, if you let's say, stuff can happen.
Yeah, I mean, my advice if you're new and your first investigation, follow the people that know what they're doing, but don't provoke, don't ask for it.
Yeah.
Just go, be nice and quiet, grab an instrument and investigate.
Be nice. Be nice to the ghosts.
Yeah, be very nice that night.
Be very nice to the ghosts. Okay, so the newbies, yeah, okay, so they need to know what they're getting into. So I mean, I have some new members myself that I just brought in. They're very new to the paranormal field. They did tell me, very honest with me in the beginning, they had no experience. They're fairly young. They're in their 20s. Which considering I'm 55, I consider that extremely young. Because my son is 36. So my new members, Lawrence and Mateo, and if they're watching, I'm going to say hi. Lawrence is just turning 21, and Lawrence is only 27. I mean, Lawrence is 20, going on 21, and Mateo is 27. So they're fairly young, but very new to the field. So I did tell them, you need to follow my lead. We're the guys with the experience, right? So and again, it's to make sure this kind of stuff doesn't happen to them because you want to keep them safe as well.
Oh, absolutely. And that's also why we have both, for example, with Mark and I are first aid certified, so that if there is something that happens that is induced that caused some sort of medical issue, but we were able to actually help them out and get the medical attention if needed.
And Roger's a emergency medical technician too.
Yes.
Great,
So
great.
Loaded.
Great. So it's a good thing to have some kind of somebody on the team with that knows maybe first aid, not only if something happens on an emotional level, but also on a physical level. If somebody falls, they get hurt. That's such an important thing to think about.
Yeah, when we were with Haunted Ottawa, there's a good blooper of me running my head into an I-beam in an attic, and man, I almost knocked myself out.
Well, sometimes you're just walking in the dark and you don't know where you're going, right? So now we talked about personal experiences. Now, the other thing we wanted to talk about is TV shows, the state of the paranormal field right now, and where do we think this field is going? So let's talk TV shows. Okay. Not that I want to bash TV shows, but what's your opinion on the present TV shows on TV? And let's say, what's your favorite one or the one you think is the closest to what we do as investigators?
I would say the closest we do, Grant Wilson's got canceled. Grant Wilson's closest to our team. Very influenced me. Jason Hawes would be, it's 1A, 1B on those two.
Yeah. I think with me, it's the same thing.
I love Zach Bagans because he does stuff that you don't want to do unless you don't care what the repercussion is.
Yeah,
he pushes
it. I was just about to say he pushes the envelope, right? And he is extremely entertaining. I'll give him that.
Yeah, and I love Destination Fear.
Yeah.
I like Destination Fear now.
Yeah, and I think with a lot of TV shows right now, I think that's the point of contention. It has to be entertaining. So, and I talked about this with other investigators before. If we actually did a TV show, which was true to what we do all the time, I don't think that many people would watch unless they want somebody's really into it. They want to, we just want facts, but most people watch a TV show because they want entertainment, correct?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if we could actually do DVR monitor watching in that short amount of time, that
Yeah.
would just make things so much more easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a recent case where we had evidence, and I had to watch a room in half speed live for 6 hours because we caught something cool.
Yeah.
And so you had to watch it in half speed, you know,
Yeah.
and it's your eyes are watering, you're crying, if you blink, you're going to miss something.
Yep.
And Roger taught me that. It's a mess. Like Roger and I are the only two that really can have the patience for it.
Yeah.
But I wish you could just go to a hotel, hand somebody a flash drive, and say, "Here's the DVR," and the next day, we got it. Let's do.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know, there's
And
a
that's,
lot of
and I guess this is something we could talk, we could say to people that are new as well. I mean, it's a lot of evidence review after. I mean, you're talking hours and hours of footage, hours of recordings that you have to go through. And it's weird with some members, like 10 years, 12 years now, I've had ghosts. There's always been members that it's like, okay, well, it was tough to get them to review evidence. It's like, okay, well, if we're not reviewing this stuff, what's the point of investigating?
yeah.
It's like, it's pointless, right?
Especially if you have to report back to a client and you want to be able to show them what you found, you've
Yeah.
got to be able to extrapolate either the EVP or the video footage down to a 15-second bite, and that takes a lot of energy.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, it does.
like
It's
on a major investigation, Roger's got a 12 camera. I've got an 8 camera DVR. So that would be 20 cameras if it's an 8-hour night times 8 hours. That's 160 hours of DVR. Let
that's a
alone
lot.
you get evidence, you haven't rewind it, you've added your 250 hours of time.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's there's a lot, and also there's a lot that goes into prepping for a location. You know, there's a lot of research that goes behind it. Then there's the communicating with the clients, whether it's a private investigation or an actual maybe commercial location. There's a lot of setup that goes on, a lot of hours put into investigating, and a lot of hours after the investigation as well. And I think when people get into it, they just don't realize that.
No, and that's the thing. A lot of people, what I find, and that's the thing, is if you just show up and hold a tool and walk around, you know, go to the public investigations. That's your best route. You know, we've got a public coming in April, and we've got some other things coming throughout the year. Book one of those. It's $50. You get to carry the meters, do the walking through, but you don't have to go through the evidence.
Yeah.
But if you really want to be in a paranormal group, you know, unlike TV and the other stuff, you're going to have to be willing to do the evidence.
Okay. So when are you guys doing this public investigation? Do you have a date yet?
No, we're finalizing the dates. It'll be at the Smith Falls Heritage House Museum.
Okay. Yeah, we've done that one as well.
I think, well, you'll be involved too. So.
Oh, okay. I'd love to. I'd love to be involved. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll probably broadcast it. You know, it's going to be broadcast, so it's something that I wanted to do. You got to understand with COVID, everyone is these places have suffered, and yeah, they're
Mhm.
funded, government funded, but they've suffered.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, because nobody can go. I mean, there's no group gatherings, there's nothing. So a lot of these places that rely on donations and people coming to see the museum are making zero money right now. So it's got to be tough for them to actually just stay above water with this COVID stuff. Hopefully, they're saying in March they're gonna take a lot of restrictions off. So hopefully, we'll be able to do a lot of investigating this coming spring and summer.
That's what that's what we look forward to. You know, these places need to be helped out. You know, the TV doesn't really help them out because, you know, we're talking about the TV and everybody on TV sees these demonic places. I still yet to be in a demonic place. You know, I've investigated a lot of places, but you know, I've never smelled the sulfur. I've never seen somebody
No.
just throwing or an object fly across. And honestly,
Somebody levitate? Nothing, none of that stuff yet.
and once somebody levitates, I'm shutting the investigation down. The Catholic priest is getting called, and I'm gonna go to church and get baptized.
Yeah, and then Cheryl bolts like a lightning, and out the door she goes. Oh my God, this person's floating. I'm out of here. See you later,
Well,
Mark.
yeah, the only person on the team, Roger, will just be standing there.
Yeah.
He's afraid of nothing.
Yeah.
Be like,
Yeah.
he'd smile. He'd say, "There's somebody levitating." I'd be like, "Roger, we gotta run."
Yeah, we got to get out of here now. But the thing is, you can't because this is the kind of stuff we're looking for, right? If
Yeah,
that happens, like I'd probably my first instinct would be, okay, I'm get the hell out of here. But I would have to think, okay, no, you can't because this is what you're looking for.
yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to stay it out, but it definitely would be help the family, and that's
Yeah,
what people don't understand. You don't say, "Oh, I'm bringing back more investigators." You're just going to stir it up worse. It's
Yeah.
yeah,
helping the family.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so we covered a lot of topics here, like the TV shows. We do know for a fact that some of them are legit, and I agree with you guys. Ghost Hunters, Jason Hawes, Grant, they're all the pioneers. There's Steve, Tango. Those are like the pioneers. They got the paranormal field in the mainstream, right? That's what they did.
Yeah,
And then you got a lot of offshoots, that other shows that pop up, copycat shows and all this kind of stuff. But I have to agree that Taps, Ghost Hunters, were, I would say, the pioneers that started this whole paranormal research craze, and all these teams that are popping up all over the place, including us. I guess the same thing, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So we you guys were going to actually talk about a couple of pieces of equipment that you like to use. I think we had a conversation about the spirit box, where we're kind of like, yeah, it's kind of iffy. Mark, talk about the spirit box. Like, what's your opinion on it? Like, how do you guys use it? Do you have different techniques, or?
Yeah, I do. And I'll tell you, the spirit box looks great on TV again, but it's not. I've never really had intelligence response audible come to me, and that's what you see on TV all the time. Like I've got two here. I've got this little red one.
Mhm.
I've used this quite a bit. I'm going to debunk a lot about it, though. We'll talk about it in a second. Then I got the SB11.
Oh, that's the big one. That's the one that goes forward and reverse, right? It's or it
Yeah,
has multiple channels, I think. Eh?
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're an investigator and you're looking for the spirit box, this is the one you want. This is the one for a public investigation.
Yeah.
This SB catches radio frequency more often than it catches stuff. So what I found with this one is most of the stuff you'll hear me say rewind, and Dan's investigating with me. You'll hear me say rewind. Well, if I say rewind, that's my key to say I heard it audible. So
Okay.
if I do something audible, I'll say rewind. So when I'm doing my EVP work on my recorder, which the Olympus I love,
Mm-hmm.
$50, good props. This is the best, I think. What I find is it'll be caught in the underlying from the spirit box on the recorder, but you won't hear it.
But you
So
won't hear it. Okay.
you're going to hear some EVPs later that were caught that I didn't have any idea were going on using the spirit box. So what I found with the SB11, this has never caught a radio station, and I've used it in downtown Ottawa, which it should,
Yeah.
when it's scanning, but it never has. So this one never does that. So that's you're doing away with debunking, because if you get a one-word answer, it could be a commercial, So you're asking
Yep.
a question and you hear, run or goes, there's a sale, you're like, what sale? When you listen to it, it's kind of funny, So
Yeah.
what I find, I tell people is put your spirit box, kick it on, kick your recorder on, start asking questions. When you go back and go over your recorder, in the low end I use Gold Wave, and Roger showed us this, you'll have your voices. So everybody I'm talking to, I find out where the voice is through the night. So
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely tell what octave they speak in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I find the damn silent octaves is where you get your evidence.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So you guys actually record your sessions when you do the spirit box. You record the session, obviously, right?
use them together.
Use
And
them together.
that's where you're going to get your evidence on the recorder. This is like it's not like a Ouija board or something people say, although they say if you're using the spirit box to be grounded,
Yeah.
which I always, if you're way open, they say that this, like a Ouija board, could possess you or what. I don't believe that, but,
No, neither do I.
superstitious people, just
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it works good together. So
Yeah. So do you guys, we have a method that we use with the with the headphones, where we use noise reduction at headphones, and the person who's listening to the ghost box can't hear the questions that the other investigators are asking. And we had very good responses when we did the Ottawa Jail Hostel with one of our investigators, Colin, where he was wearing the headphones and he actually answered a lot of our questions. Do you guys actually use that method with the headphones with the spirit box?
Yes, and Cheryl did it at. Go ahead.
Coburg Jail.
Coburg Jail.
Coburg Jail, yeah.
We investigated with the guys out of Toronto that are prison guards. I can't think of their names. With Roger, but Cheryl actually wore the headphones and talked, and she was dead accurate on the history. We didn't study. That's something that's nice about the SP11 is you can put them in that state. And Amy Bruni does it on TV a lot.
Yeah.
So it does work. I've tried it. I tried actually. What's nice about this Olympus, this is the one you can put your headphones in and do live EVP.
Yeah.
It was hearing the responses.
So you're hearing it live. It's not just you're hearing the recording as it's being recorded, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the two neat things you could do with these, and that's really what they're made for. You know, it's a scanner. It's the old days we used to sit in front of a TV, a UHF TV, twist the bottom knob at 2 a.m. and be like, "Oh my God, I heard a noise."
I'm not going to say that I remember that because I'd be dating myself.
Well, I do.
Remember the days we actually had to get up to change the channel?
Yes.
Well, you didn't go near the TV because your dad stopped you. You had a
it's like, don't touch that channel. Don't switch the channel.
That's what we do wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about the spirit box, actually, I wanted to bring this up with you guys. We actually did a spirit box session, not with the headphones. It was an open box, open spirit box session, and we had two video camcorders going on at the same time. Now, actually, I'll play the clip for you, and then I'll explain what happened. Maybe you guys can figure it out, but there's a couple of words in there that explains, and I'll let you watch it, and you guys can let me know what you think. But this is a spirit box session we had at the Nightwatchmen house in Montreal.
We're here for the whole weekend. We're here. We're here for the whole weekend.
Okay. So what did you guys hear on that one?
I'd have to have headphones, but I hear something like whole week.
A whole week?
Yeah. Guessing it sound like whole week.
Whole week. Okay, so what we heard is that it's kind of like one of the EVPs which we're gonna have to show those. I don't think we've gotten to your EVPs yet, but we have some time. Is that it's so audible that you would think it's somebody else saying it. Okay, but the weird thing with the spirit box session, and this is where we're wondering, is it actually coming from the spirit box? Because we had one camcorder, and this is all the camcorder audio that's in there. We had one camcorder that was very close to the spirit box, and we had one camcorder that was actually farther from the spirit box. Now, the one that caught the voice that says "we're here" was the camera that was farther from the spirit box. Now, with the camera closer to the spirit box, you can somewhat still hear we're here, but don't you think that the camera closer to the box should have caught it louder than the one further?
Yeah, it should.
Yeah. So I'll play it again for you guys, so that way you know what you're looking for now. So basically, when it says unknown voice, it's a voice saying we're here, and that was not one of us.
We're here for the whole weekend. We're here. We're here for the whole weekend.
So
Yeah.
you guys see the camera that was closer to the ghost box. You
Yeah.
can somewhat hear we're here in the background, but which means that wasn't coming from the ghost box. So we're going, okay, well, who said we're here? It wasn't one of us. So we're going, okay, what is it?
I thought that was like one of you.
Yeah. We're just
No,
saying.
no, and that was the weird thing is it's like it wasn't us. It wasn't one of us that said we're here. And that was like, wow, that's so freaky.
Well, the principle behind the SB is it's supposed to emit the white noise to help the manifest the ability to speak.
Yeah.
And that's how we used to turn the UHF knob, you know. So that's kind of an interesting thing is you kick up with the energy you're putting off the box, which I've had the box battery go dead quick. A
Yeah.
couple
Yeah.
just dead.
Yeah.
So
You know, one thing I'd like to try one day is actually try to do like the same kind of experiment, but use like just a regular radio and just play consistent white noise, like a shh,
yeah,
and see if we, like without anything scanning through, like no scanning, just straight white noise, and see if we can capture something. Now that would be cool.
it would be. We had one cool thing at Fort Henry is this one for some reason at 5 a.m. outside of the officers' quarters stopped on the Dire Straits Walk of Life on the radio, and it was a fun tension breaker. Whether that's paranormal, I have no idea, but it was weird that it stopped scanning and just froze there.
Yeah.
Okay. We listened to the song, all of us started dancing, and then we went to bed.
Well, it's a good way to end the investigation, right?
Definitely.
It's on a positive note.
Yeah, it's like that's a weird song to pick for right now, but okay, we'll go with it.
Yeah. Okay. So we're talking EVPs right now. We'll go to some video footage later. Now you guys sent me a couple of things here. We'll skip the FP one for now.
It's my favorite.
I don't think there's any kids watching right now, so we'll get to it. We'll get to it. So there was one this is the one that's similar to the kind of ghost box session that we captured where it was so clear where you think it's one of your investigators, but it's not. So this is so I'm just going to tell everybody who's watching is that this is an EVP that Mark and Cheryl and their team captured. You'll hear a voice very clearly. It almost sounds like it's one of their investigators. Okay, guys, I'm going to play this and we'll see what people think.
But see if you cross the grid. Walk. Yeah, you let me know you're here. So while I've got this.
Okay, guys, I'll let you explain this one to the people watching.
I'm playing with a grid bin. So I got one of these up that puts a grid on the wall, and I started my session with my recorder, and I just asked a simple question, and that was at the Smith Falls Railway Museum. I'll give 20 props on that. Please don't bug me too much. But yeah, I just simply asked a question. If you please walk in front of the grid, and then you hear the walk, and that's none of our team members. I was alone.
And when you sent me that today, and I actually asked you, okay, so what am I looking for? Because I really wasn't hearing anything, because I literally thought the walk was one of your investigators talking, but you're saying that's not one of you guys.
It wasn't one of us. And it was one of those times when you're doing the EVPs, when you're listening to these things, that you just jump up and down. It's like, that's nothing better than that.
Yeah. So basically, whoever's saying this is saying walk. So we assume it's saying walk.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, let me play this again for people watching right now. I'm going to play one more time. So anybody who's watching right now, this session here, this was an EVP session, or was this a spirit box?
It's an EVP with spirit box is what I do. I always run.
Okay, you run both together. Okay, so I'm going to play this again for people. So what you're looking for is in the middle of the video or the recording, you'll hear walk, and this is nobody from Mark and Cheryl's team. So I'm going to play this again for everybody.
But see if you cross the grid. Walk. Yeah, you let me know you're here. So while I've got this.
Yeah, that's a strange one, for sure. That is really strange. Because, like I said, it fooled me because I'm going, okay, no, this is an actual person talking, and you said no, it's not one of you guys. So
No,
that's an extremely good capture.
it was one of those ones. She's like, "Do you hear what I hear?" Like,
You
yeah,
guys must you guys must have jumped backwards when you heard that.
oh
Go,
yeah,
oh my god, what the hell is that?
I did. It's funny because I always said if I become a ghost, every ghost hunter out there or ghost, whatever we do, everybody out there starts the night off. I've got a recording device. Is anybody here would like to speak to me tonight? If I ever become a ghost, I'm gonna say I'm right here now.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Yeah. So I got a question here from Heath. Heath follows the shows a lot. Hi, Heath. I hope you're doing well once again. So he's asking, why walk, walk? Why would the spirit be saying walk, walk? Maybe there was something you were doing that might have triggered whatever was saying that to say that.
I can tell you like that place, and sometimes I do go full provoking. I do provoke, and I'm funny, and that's something that I found that has worked for me.
Yeah.
Uh, Darlene, when she investigated with me, I had her ribs hurting, and kind of one of those things where sometimes when you're doing EVP work, you should be funny because you got to think if you're looking for a lady in a white dress or a black gown, you're going to always eliminate half the people. But if you're funny and there's a spirit, it's going to want to laugh or it's going to want to do. So
Yeah.
this spirit here, I think, is something that's playful at the railway. You
Yeah.
can call it out and it comes. To me, that's just kind of what I would be if I pass away and some ghost hunter comes where I'm at. If I'm haunting someplace, which I probably won't, but
Yeah.
if I am, that's the way I would be. You'll get
Yeah.
a response.
Yeah.
and
And
right,
this was where'd you capture this one?
Smith Falls Railway Museum.
Oh,
yeah,
that was
and
the
right,
role. I did that one with you guys.
right before Mark asked Spirit to walk in front of the grid,
Yeah.
to ask it to basically to break the grid so we could actually,
Yeah, that's right. So walk, walk, walk. So walk in front of the grid. So
yeah.
walk. Yeah, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, actually. Okay,
And
so I want to go back to equipment here because I know, Mark, you talked about the spirit box, but I know that Cheryl wanted to talk about the eddy meter, which we call the eddy, or some people call it the EDI meter, and also you have the tri field that you like as well, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this one. We're really big on debunking and being very no like Dan, being very, very scientific. And what I like about the Eddy is that it gives you pressure readings, it gives you temperature, it gives you all of that in very scientific, very straightforward format that you can actually provide a grid of
Excel spreadsheet.
in an Excel spreadsheet
Yep.
to your client to say, this is where the temperature jumped. This
every
is
second.
yeah, every second of the night, and you can correlate it with your recordings
Hmm.
so that you get an EVP reading. You can say, okay, what happened at the Eddy at that time, and so you can say, okay, I got double indicators,
Hmm.
and it's nice to have that scientific, hard pressed evidence to say this is something we found, and we've got not one but two methods of determining that yes, it's something we can't explain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you get a temperature drop, a pressure drop, an EMF all at once, and it's logged,
Yeah.
you can't really say that's not para weird.
Yeah. Well, that I think that's the whole point is having something else to back up an EVP, to back up a video. Like if you capture an EVP and at the same time, and that's the beauty with the Eddy meter. I just call it Eddy, not EDI. But the beauty of it is that you can record what's going on with it, and you can actually correlate with, okay, well, at a certain time we cut an EVP, and at a certain time the EMF meter went off, the barometric pressure drop, or there was a temperature drop. So you can correlate the two pieces of evidence, and I think that's the whole point of the scientific method. You just can't rely on one piece of equipment capturing something. Again, if it's video, you don't need much more. If something's floating up in the air, video doesn't need a lot of backing up, but audio recordings and things like that need another backup. So yeah, an EMF spike recorded on an SD card that you can actually see on a graph, that's validation of the actual EVP that you captured.
Oh, exactly. And that's why also, like, when we have a setup, have multiple cameras, and then what we'll do when we're reviewing the evidence is that we'll look at all the different camera angles during that one time we thought we captured something to see if there's some other possible reason why there was a shadow or light or whatever else. So
Mhm.
we can say no, all camera angles only pointed to this one thing on this one camera. But again, the Eddie backing that up said this is what the graph showed.
Yeah.
And then of
Yeah.
course, like you said, the tri-field meter is another one I really do like. I like
Yeah.
this.
So tell me about the trifield. I've heard about. I actually don't have one myself, but tell me about it. I isn't a trifield more for the Earth's magnetic field, or is this one for man-made electric fields?
It can be for both, but it's more so for the man-made electric fields, because what I like to do in our pre-investigations, especially in much older buildings or houses, is that things that people may be experiencing can most likely be easily explained by bad wiring
Yeah.
or
Electrical problems.
yeah.
Yeah,
We,
that's true. Yeah.
we love using the tri-field to check electrical. It's better than the other detectors because
Mhm.
you're going to get something off an electrical current. Any
Yeah.
switch will give you something. But you go into a house where the people are having a lot of anxiety in their bedroom and there's high EMF coming off their switch plates next to their bed,
Yeah.
you know, and they have knob and tube, which is Roger's favorite thing to explain.
Oh, knob and tube. Yeah. I don't think you can even get insurance these days if you have knob and tube in your house.
There's still some we were in a couple recently that still have it. So
They still have it. Okay, we're not going to mention those places just in case. Yeah, electrical, and that's the thing with why we use meters, right? It's not specifically to detect ghosts or spirits. It's specifically to detect those fields. Mind you, there's a theory out there that those fields can affect people's physiology, their way of thinking. Some people are highly sensitive, maybe even hallucinate. So that's why we use these meters. It's to actually measure what they're meant to measure. It doesn't necessarily mean there's a theory out there that when the meter goes off, it could be an entity or something paranormal that's actually fluctuating those fields. But like you said, we need something else to back it up as well, like a piece of video or a piece of audio with a graph from the Yeti meter to back it up. And that's the whole point of having more of a scientific look towards the paranormal.
yeah, and the tri-field, what I like, if I get high tri-field throughout a house before we even start on a private house, we'll just tell them, go get an electrician. I'm shutting down.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I've had a couple of cases like that. Actually, one private case was on the Quebec side, and she said the lights were flickering. But then again, when I played with the light switch, well, the light switch was loose, and when I would play with the light switch, the light would flicker. So I told her, I said, I don't think there's a need for us to investigate. I think you need to get an electrician in and actually check your electrical, because if your switch is like wiggling like that and then your lights flickering, who knows? It could be somebody walking upstairs, bang, bang, and the switch wiggles a bit. The lights are flickering. So we ended up not doing an investigation because I thought it was more because it's probably just an electrical problem.
Actually, that's the unsexy side of being a paranormal investigator, is that
Yeah.
we're not just there to find ghosts. We're there to find out what is not
Yeah,
paranormal, and hopefully
exactly.
give people a better sense of security
Mhm.
environment, that it's not something that's going to suddenly pull off the covers in the middle of the night.
I was just about to say that. That seems to be the most common thing.
Yeah.
that's really what you're in it for. And I feel I can tell people I feel better going into a home and debunking the entire house than I do when we find something in a private house.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point. We need to debunk, right? Because if we don't debunk, then we're not actually capturing real evidence, right? And we did the same thing with when we captured that window opening at the Ottawa jailhouse. So we sent it to experts, the stack effect, wind dynamics, whatever the hell, and they all said no, it can't be the wind, and no, it's not negative positive pressures in the building. Then what is it? How does a window open that way? So that's the whole thing about debunking, is that the more you debunk, then in the end you're left with something paranormal.
Exactly. If it is not apparent, then what is it?
Yeah,
And
exactly. So you need to get rid of all the natural causes first, then you're left with something you can't explain.
Yeah, no, exactly. And something, we talked about new investigators. I always say anybody's doing paranormal work, $25, take a course on NORM. It's naturally occurring radioactive materials.
Hmm.
It can explain a lot of stuff when you're looking at EMFs too.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
natural radiation out there that a lot of people say, "Oh, I got one hit. It's paranormal." Well, it could be, And I'll tell you, like when you get a hit with like on the Eddie Plus, when that gets a hit for EMF, that thing lights up and almost vibrates.
Hmm.
So it's a
Well, I
little
think
different.
Well, I think the
But
beauty too with the Eddie meter that Cheryl was showing is that it also has the geophone on it as well, which registers vibration.
yeah, and you can put the four of them up a staircase if you have somebody saying, "Well, there's a ghost that walks my stairs." Well, you got the geophone there too.
Yeah, and if
And
you put a camera on it and you capture like some vibration, nobody's moving. There's something there.
I think either Grant Wilson or Jason Hawes did that recently, and it worked on one of
Yeah,
their episodes. I can't remember
Yeah,
which one it was.
yeah, it's a cool piece of equipment for sure.
this is my favorite. My
Your
favorite.
favorite. Actually, I actually have the first version they had, which the first Eddie meter only had I think it had EMF and I think temperature only. That was the
Yeah.
first one. Mind you, it doesn't work well anymore. I could put that thing like right beside a microwave and it registers nothing. Like a little blip maybe. So, I use it for temperature drops, but the EMF on it's not working really well anymore. That was the first version, which it was very basic. The first Eddies, I think it was just that EMF, and then you had the temperature drop on it. The temperature, there was nothing else on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to a couple of the other pieces of stuff you guys. Okay, hold on. We have a question or a comment by Brandon Morrison. I'll put it up right now. So Brandon says, I have a random yet somewhat related question. I work for and live in a funeral home. Work in another location. Last tenants, current coworkers have told me several stories. Although I haven't had any experiences myself, mostly. How could I safely investigate without provoking? And what is some cost-effective and reliable gear I could look into picking up? Cost-effective gear. I'll let you guys answer that one.
The best cost effective gear is this guy.
Yeah,
You
recorder.
know,
A recorder. Yeah. Yeah.
kick it on. It's simple. When you want to check you can get free programs. $50, you're in. Ask some questions. If I worked in a funeral home, I really wouldn't provoke anything. I'm one of those guys that there's a certain place that people go there to be processed through the center channels.
Mhm. Yeah.
It may be more damaging to him to even investigate it.
Yeah. Funeral home is a kind of a touchy place to be investigating. I mean, there would be a place where you would have activity, I would assume. If people have, most people that go through there are deceased people. Maybe they died in a very tragic kind of way. But again, to provoke in a funeral home, wouldn't that be more like maybe non-ethical to provoke?
No,
So
no.
I don't know how we could, answer his Branda's question on how he could investigate but not provoke.
Honestly, Brandon, the Eddie would be the only thing I would trust to just set up on a counter.
Yeah.
And it's a $300 piece. If you're in the United States, it's $200.
Yeah, they're
It,
pricey.
it the rest of it, like a K2 meter, they're so sensitive that the tools you're using and the electrical you're using down there could set it off.
Yeah.
Most of your low end stuff that's cheap for EMF, even the tri-field's still $300. So
Yeah.
you might be able to rent a tri-field, from a hardware store and set it up. But I can tell you that if you're if you're wondering if you're having experiences of being watched, when that thing goes off, I just, like we talked about new people earlier, it may be something you don't want to provoke.
Exactly. So basically the advice to Brandon would be, try not to provoke. Maybe you can press your questions. Maybe that's the way to do it. Press your questions, but do it
Do it nice.
nicely. Like you can't come in and, like I said before, my personal experience, when I provoked at the Trinity Inn, I wasn't nice and I paid the price for it.
Yeah, and that's the
So
thing you have to remember, that spirits are people who were alive once. So they're just on the other side of the veil. They can see you, you can't see them. I know, as belief is. So you speak to them like you would anybody else. You don't yell at them. You don't call them out names. If you want them to connect with you, you got to make them feel comfortable and want to connect with you.
Yeah.
So
If
bring
you
your
come up, if you come up too aggressively, it's not going to work.
exactly.
Okay. Thanks for the question, Brandon. That was a good, very Brandon. It was a very good question. Okay, so let's go back to a couple of pieces of evidence here that you guys sent me today. I'm just going to find them here. Where's that stuff? There it is. Okay, so let's go with this one. It's late. The kids are probably sleeping by now. So we'll let people guess. Okay, this is an EVP. We have a couple of videos as well, right? We were going to talk mostly videos tonight, but it doesn't matter. We're having fun, so let's go EVPs. So this is I'll just play it and see what people think. This is an EVP that Mark and Cheryl sent me earlier today.
Fuck you in this just a minute ago.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Spirit isn't always, politically correct.
I can retire after that one.
Yeah, let me play it again and see what people think, and then we'll say the word. Like I said, most kids should be in bed at 8 o'clock at night.
Fuck you in this just a minute ago.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I got the unknown voice exactly at the right spot, but what we're hearing is fucking prick.
Yep, you fucking prick.
I said it. It. Hopefully, no kids are watching.
I said it. Sorry, Dan. Yeah, it was funny. That place, there's people that have gone there psychics and said there's a foul mouthed ghost.
That
So
must have been him.
sometimes to provoke, I lit it up. I
Mhm.
lit up the words. I was like, I'm as foul mouthed as you, and I'm being really nice right now. And you heard "F you" plain as day in my ear, and then
Yep.
I was floating. And then when we did the EP, it's like, you effing prick. It's like, well, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, somebody found it funny. There's Brandon. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, and then I almost told Cheryl I could retire after that one. I was like, I'm ready to retire now.
Yeah.
Roger to us from Cuba right now.
Yeah, Roger's in Cuba, jerk.
You're a paranormal investigator. You're never gonna retire. Not with this stuff.
No,
Ever.
once you're done, do it, you're hooked.
Okay, so let's go back to another piece you sent me today. Let me find this here. Okay, so we have, so this one, the FP we just did. Okay, this is another one that you didn't tell me where to find this one. It was so clear that I found exactly the spot where the EVP shows up without you telling me anything at all of where it was, because most of the EVPs you sent me, there was no specific, you didn't have any markers of where, okay, this is what I'm hearing at this specific location. So this one I actually found by myself, because you just sent me like just raw audio, and I found it. I went, okay, I hear it. So I'm going to play this one now.
Should I go down the left side here, or should we leave?
No, that's clear.
Yeah.
To me. That's exactly what I heard. And when we talk about EVPs, we always we don't tell people what we hear. We want to make sure that they hear it for themselves. And when I heard this, I went, yeah, that's exactly what I hear. So I'm going to play this one again for the people watching.
Should I go down the left side here, or should we leave?
That's clear. I mean, so basically what it's saying is I said run.
Yeah.
And it's clear. You can hear it. It's right in the background. Now, the weird thing is, this was with the spirit box, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we know for a fact that the concept of the spirit box is that it scans so fast through different frequencies that you cannot pick up a full sentence or a multi-syllabical. That word, I have trouble with that word. Is it syllabical? Is that what it is?
You use the words out of bigger.
They know what I mean. They know what I mean. But this one, I said run. There's three. Like you shouldn't be able to pick something up like this on a spirit box, right?
No, that's not. And that was at West Virginia Penn on B block, which was the worst block in the U.S. There's 998 murders inside the walls of West Virginia Pen.
Yeah.
You were a bad guy to go down there. So where I was standing was where a prison guard was dismembered too during a riot. They killed him. And that guy has been known. We actually talked to the guy that worked there with him, and he's known to talk people. So I was standing right where he was murdered. And on the left side of the block, you have a guy that was basically the biggest devil worshiper in the South. That his cell was just horrible. And on the right side, you had Red, who's come across on TV and talk to people and interact. So this is not, at that time of night, it was just a heavy feeling. And I stood there and I said, which side should I go to? And then it said run. And it's perfect. That's
and it is clear. You can really, really hear that. Like I said, I caught it right away without you giving me any kind of markers or anything, or telling. It's like, that's a good capture.
Yeah, that's when your hair stands up on your neck when you hear it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have one more VP that you guys sent me today. So I'll play this one now. Now this one, I have to admit, I had a bit of problems with this one. I think I might have found where it was. I'll play it now, and you guys can let me know if I was accurate on the actual marking the actual location.
Yeah.
Was that about the right spot?
Yeah.
Yeah, right towards maybe like the beginning.
Yeah.
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 So,
you hear? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You hear? I was in a.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead.
No, you go. You go ahead, Cheryl.
We were at a cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy just says, "I'm dead." And you have headphones on. It's not funny, but it's like, wow.
Wow.
That would be me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm dead.
I'm dead.
Yeah. Let me tell you the obvious. I'm in a cemetery. I'm dead.
Yeah.
Okay, let me play it again and see if people can actually clue into it. Yeah, I heard it now. Like I said earlier, I had a bit more problems with that one. But again, when you're told what it's saying, then you're going to look for it a little bit more, and now you're going to hear it. And I think that's the whole point with EVPs is that, and that's the whole point of not telling people what you think you hear, because if they can find it out for themselves, it just makes it more valid.
Exactly.
Oh, exactly. That one was random. I wasn't even asking a question at that time. So.
Yeah, and it was just a random thing. This just wanted to tell you, hey, I'm dead.
Yeah, not hi, I'm Bob, or hi, I'm John, or I'm the lady in the white dress. It's just I'm dead.
I'm dead.
Okay.
So I want to get to the two videos that you sent me as well here. Okay, so you sent me, these are two video clips. I'll just play them. They're gonna kind of because I guess you guys took this and maybe with a cell phone, or the kind of the layout is kind of weird. So the video is only gonna appear in the middle of the screen, so you're gonna see half our heads on the left and right, but it's still gonna pop up. And I think this one doesn't have any audio, so I'm gonna play it now, and you guys can actually explain what you're seeing or what people should be looking for.
Look on the small box next to the L-shaped cabinet. You'll see two dots just randomly show up.
In between the two white columns.
Right now.
Yeah, I see it.
And then gone. It's looks like a little small black box.
Yeah. I had trouble finding it earlier because I didn't know exactly where to look on the screen, but now I do see it. Now, when that happened, you guys didn't have any lighting going on. It was just straight IR light, and there was nothing else going on, right?
That was a camera up on the third level of a museum.
Okay.
And there was nothing to light it from outside, and the whole 8 hours of footage, that's all we got.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of weird is down in that area, we've had those two eyes appear now twice in two investigations in that area.
And this was at the Railway Museum?
That was at the Heritage House Museum.
Heritage House, okay, the Heritage House. I'm gonna play it again, and we'll kind of try to point people in the right direction.
Look between
So
the
it's
two.
right.
walls.
Yeah. The left box, white box like an L, and then a black box, grayish box. There's going to be two little lights that go on right there. And then they slowly fade out. Almost like a electrical charge or something, right? They just boop,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then it kind of faded away. Okay, there's a comment here. Let's see if somebody saw it. Oh, that's different. You would think orbs, maybe? Do you guys think that would be orbs? I wouldn't think so.
No,
No.
that's too
That's,
bright.
Yeah, that's
It's,
what Heath was asking. Do you think maybe orbs?
I would love to say it. I'd love to find a real orb, but to have two at the same time,
And they're red.
dust can't really do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're looking at the size too, because if you blow it up to life size, it's a pretty big
Yeah.
dot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty unique. It's kind of weird to. Did you guys actually try to debunk to see? Well, I'm assuming you did. To try
Yeah.
to debunk to see what might have caused those two kind of. They're not like dots. They're almost like two lines that show up, and it's kind of like almost like a little electrical charge. It charges up and then suddenly it disappears.
Yeah. But there was no electrical in that box.
Yeah, there was
Yeah,
a window behind it. So
yeah. I'm gonna play it again because I know that Brandon said initially said he had missed it, but then said cool because he obviously saw it. So I'm gonna play it again for Brandon here because obviously he knows where he's looking right now. So yeah, the little grayish box there, just kind of like off center, middle and off center, right there. Little electrical charge, and then boom, it dissipates. That is odd. I don't know what the heck that would be.
yeah, so that's like you say paranormal. Can't really tell you what it is.
Well,
It's
that's
not,
what paranormal is. You can't explain it, right?
Exactly. And we tried over and over again.
Yeah.
it looks, unless you had somebody outside the window about 40 foot off the ground with two laser pins that you know.
That is weird. That happens when we captured that window opening at the hostel. Somebody actually said, "Oh, somebody's outside pulling strings on the window." I said, "That's kind of hard considering it's on the 6th floor, and there's
Yeah.
no access on that side of the building. Only maintenance personnel have access to that building." But people will try. They'll say, "Oh yeah, it was a string or somebody with a laser pointing." No, why would we do that? Like we're there to investigate the paranormal, not fake it.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, that is a cool little capture.
It's
Okay.
just
So the next video you sent me, falls probably in the category of okay, things can get real because
Yeah.
there's no. I'll just play it and then you guys can actually explain what happened in this one.
Oh, this was a fun one. Oh, you go ahead because you're the one.
okay. Roger Miller and I investigate. He went upstairs, and actually, right now, something just got thrown at me.
Okay,
So
yeah.
you'll feel like,
So you can tell that you really moved quickly there because you were startled by something.
yeah. We had been down there in the basement of that place for about 10 minutes, and we had actually seen a mist form, which I'm one of those people that usually debunks those and says no. This was the first time in my life I've actually seen like a vapor mist form.
Yeah.
And he went upstairs to get everybody because we had some newbies, and I wanted them to feel how creepy it was because it was super creepy down there at that time.
Yeah.
So he had gone upstairs to get him, and yeah, something got thrown at me while he was not there. And
Yeah,
I
you
don't.
can tell you get startled. I think Roger's got a comment here. It takes a lot for me to believe in orbs. So Roger's not an orb believer. It's okay, Roger. Neither am I. Unless an orb moves erratically, goes against the wind, and pulsates, and does a lot of weird stuff. I would say 99.9% of orbs you capture on camera or on video are probably dust particles or some kind of other particle in the air, and sometimes most often is a bug.
Yeah.
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time.
Thanks for that comment, Roger.
It's here.
Have fun in Cuba.
So Brandon says it looks like it's shifted from the right really fast. So I guess he's thinking about those. Are you talking about the lights there, Brandon, on the box?
About the lights. Yeah.
Probably the lights, yeah. Okay. So the video, I'll play it again here. So this video again is you being startled by something. So this falls under the topic of conversation we had earlier about things can get real and stuff can be
Yeah.
thrown at you. It's weird, but it can happen. So we'll play it again. So you guys will see that this was you, Roger, in the basement, right? This location.
That's
Yeah.
me, Roger.
So yeah, not Roger. Mark, it was you. Yeah. Did I say Roger?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Roger comes in the end.
Okay, so this is Mark in the basement being startled because something was thrown at him. I'm going to play this again for the people watching. So you're just there, you're doing your own thing, Mark, and then suddenly,
Looking through McDonald's window, yeah. Because I
and
was
something,
looking for the Netflix, and that's where I wanted to keep my eyes. But
and then something got thrown at you, and then Roger shows up in the background after, I guess, on top of the stairs.
yeah, because he went and got the Lisa and Cheryl and two of the other girls that were there
Yeah.
to bring
Okay.
them down. You know, when you're doing an investigation with new people, you do want them to experience. So
Yeah.
when it starts getting that creep, if you've investigated, you'll get a creepy feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
no matter how afraid you think you are, you'll feel it. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got it right away when we were down there. And then we started seeing it. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm here.
Something's going on. Is this
Yeah.
is this where Cheryl bolted?
No.
No.
I'm gonna tease you forever on this one, Cheryl.
I
You
know you-
bolted. You bolted.
Okay, we'll take you to West Virginia, Penn, and I'll let you take her in the boiler room. It'll be
Oh, I
fun.
wish. No, yeah, absolutely. I want to go with you guys. I want to go there with you guys. West Virginia Penn would be a perfect place to go.
We were standing at the bottom of the staircase when we started getting rocks thrown at us.
Yeah.
So I didn't run then.
Yeah.
We were smiling at that point, but that was before the night really got real.
Did you feel that? Did
Yeah.
you see that? It's
So
just me.
cool.
You didn't say, dude, did you see that?
We did. We were in the back. Nobody in the freaking group. We were in a group getting a tour at the time, and nobody got that rocks were being thrown down the steps at us.
Yeah.
We were bouncing at our feet, and Cheryl and I were like, "Can we leave the group?" And they're like,
No,
"Oh,
you can't.
I'm like, "I want to go up there right now."
Yeah. Yeah, you can't. That's the kind of cool stuff you want to experience, though. I mean, it can get scary, but I mean, really, it's what we're looking for most of the time. I mean, it's some kind of weird experience that you can go through. Great evidence you can capture, whether it's on audio or video or any kind of other stuff. That's what we do, and that's the kind of stuff that new people are going to experience. But don't be afraid of it, because that's why you're doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nope.
write
Go
it.
ahead, Cheryl. Go ahead, Cheryl.
I'm going to say, when you do, write it down so that if you've got it captured on something, you can go back to at this time
Yeah.
and go over it over and over again, because as you keep trying to recall it or recount it, it's going to change even in your own mind. So
Yeah,
try
that's
it.
true. Now, I do want to. I know we're over the 1 hour that I usually allow for the show, but I want to touch on this one subject real quick. We talked about knowing the history of a location. Should we or should we not know the history? Because we had talked about the problem of manifestation.
Yeah. Roger's our historian. I don't like to know any of the history of a place I go to because I just like to go investigate. Okay, you think it's haunted? You think things are going on here? Let me come in. Don't tell me nothing. Don't tell me where somebody was hung or the folklore. Because I could take five people and say there was 4 people dismembered in the kitchen here, and they're going to have a horrible night.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could take 5 people and tell them that nothing's going on in this place, and they're going to have a great night. Boring, but it's going to be peace.
Yeah.
So I've been a lot of places, and people say, well, there's a woman with a white dress here. Well, what about a guy with a bell bottoms? What about parachute pants?
Or a guy with a baseball cap or something like that, sideways, like a sideways baseball cap or something. Or backwards, a backwards baseball cap.
Yeah.
Why is it always a woman in a Victorian dress every time you capture something? It's always a woman in a Victorian dress from the 1800s.
Yes, everywhere you go.
Everywhere you go, it's always the same stuff that people see.
1897 house, it's guaranteed there's a white dress lady in there.
Always. And her hair's in a bun, and she's carrying a butcher knife.
Well, because she looks so horrible, that's why she's just haunting everything.
I've got some family photos from the 1800s. It's scary.
I'm not gonna make any comments on that one.
So
Okay, so I have a couple more questions here. Brandon here, I'm gonna pop it up here. So Brandon says, curious, because of the rock story, obviously Hollywood and all that stuff makes these things seem extremely dangerous. But how often can it get to a point where you can actually suffer significant harm?
it can go down quick in seconds. It's when we do this, you got to understand, you got to have faith, you got to be strong.
Yeah,
Whether you believe in God or what you believe in, you got to be strong, because if you have psychological or emotional trouble, it can traumatize you to
yeah,
have. It's not Hollywood says, like, Zach says he's cursed and stuff. Well, God, he's put together every haunted piece of items and moved it into his house. And now it's
that
selling.
would explain a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
tell people, would you go to the haunted museum Zach has in Vegas? No. It's
yeah,
it's the worst stuff. No, I'm an investigator. I don't want to go there.
yeah,
But that's the thing. You got to protect yourself. You got to understand that if I'm having an emotional thing going on in my family, I'm not going to go investigate.
hmm
I'm also
So
not going to be so open.
yeah. So, I mean, when you're an investigator, I mean, and this is a question that I ask when people apply for our team, is that they're personal questions sometimes, but I do have to ask these questions. It's like, okay, do you have a history of mental illness? Do you have a history of depression? Are you on medication, let's say for depression or some kind of mental illness? Are you on medication for physical problems? This is all things that we need to know, because yeah, when you're doing investigations, stuff can happen either physically, it can be, something physical can happen, or you can be affected emotionally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It, it's beyond, anybody that goes on a paranormal investigation, you got to understand that you could leave scarred from that, and
Yeah.
you don't really know how you're going to act afterwards.
Yeah.
We've seen it live a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And luckily,
It's
luckily for us, I mean, the worst that's happened is like when Mark walked into the IP and he hit it pretty hard.
Yeah.
yeah.
But right after that, I ended up tripping over another piece of or with an old a box in the same area. So I mean, minor, but at the same time, it could. Yeah, I could have hurt myself, but luckily we've been very lucky that nothing major has happened to us.
hmm
Not good, but
Knock on wood.
there are other teams that there have been serious incidents when they've gone into some place that's got extreme activity and they weren't prepared.
Yeah. And I think that's the whole point. When you do this, be prepared. Period.
That's why I did run out of the boiler room at the West Virginia Pen when she left
Yeah.
me. If you turn around and run, you're in pitch black, and there's metal and things that it's beyond the ghost. There's
hmm
other things that can really do damage to you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Like I said, my experience was days after it just affected me.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, for sure.
Actually, Brandon had a good comment here. He said, yeah, he prefers not knowing the history because then he can piece the evidence going backwards
Yes.
type
Yes.
thing. Yeah. Good point. Very good point.
Yeah, what I love afterwards is once you go through the place, if you get evidence, I love talking to the historian then and saying, okay, somebody says they're Bob. Who's Bob?
hmm
That's cool.
Yeah.
Then you find out there was a Bob that hung himself or something like that after the
Exactly.
fact.
It's the validation piece that really.
Validation, yeah, because you don't go in there biased. You're not specifically looking for somebody, but you find out after that person that you found was an actual person or something that happened or associated with some kind of tragedy in this location.
Yeah, I mean, still like West Virginia, I did want to ask where the gallows were. I wanted to ask where the electric chair used to be.
hmm
So that part of a tour which we did, was good because it helps the investigation, but I don't want to know all the history. I
No,
don't want to
no. You
get
got to do
to
a
it.
little bit of research to know what you're going into, but you don't want to know everything because, and that's a good point because yeah, if you capture a Bob and yeah, then you find out that there was a person living there named Bob, then that's much better validation than catching Bob when you already know about the person.
And if somebody tells you that, okay, for example, you're going into West Virginia Penn and you're going to look for Stan who did this to Jim or whatever, but there were 900 other inmates who were dead, who died during that time. You don't know who you're going to be dealing with. And if you assume that you're only going to interact with that one person that you've been told about, you're setting yourself up for a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
And we've all,
That's true.
I always ask, if we do a jail, and I don't want to keep too long, but when I do a jail, I always ask one of my EVP questions, and I ask everybody to ask this: why are you still here? Because hell would be better than some of the size of these cells.
Yeah, that's true. Eh? You got to wonder sometimes, and like I said, I'm a very skeptic. Like I think part of the reason why I want to find out, investigate the paranormal, is to find out what happens to us when we pass away, and that's kind of a weird thing. Why would somebody want to stick around in a jail? Why would you not want to move on somewhere else? And why would you want? Some people say it's because people don't know, or these spirits don't know that they've passed on, so they linger in the last location they were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So I have a question here from our Mando Stella. I'm going to put it up for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fort Henry's a fun one. We've been there 4 times. Roger's been there a couple more. It always delivers. Fort Henry will be a night that can go boring, but the evidence always comes through.
Yep.
Personal experiences there. We had I thought I sent him the video for tonight, but I must not have. We set up one of these grid pins, and actually something picked it up, and you can see it swirl and then lay on its side on the wall.
Yeah.
And it wasn't one of us, because you waste the DVR camera at Fort Henry. So I had one going down the hallway to make sure it wasn't one of my members grabbing that pin. So I had to watch 2 DVR cameras. So at Fort Henry, we've had babies crying at 2 a.m. Roger caught that, and I've caught it. I was threatened to be gutted by an Irish voice on an EVP. It says, "I'll gut you." That was by the locked jail cell.
Mm-hmm.
We had a guy scratched in the lower area that Haunted Walks takes people down. So it delivers. It's unique. I had a woman's voice just plain as day come across the spirit box, and that's the only one I would say that was lifetime real, because it plain as day. She said, "My name, I can't remember.
My name is Susan.
My name's Susan."
And this was at Fort Henry, you said?
Fort Henry.
Yeah.
We got a picture of Tracy that used to be a member of ours, a good friend of ours. We love her. If she sees this, we'd love to have her back at any time. But she took a picture outside the officer's room, and there's a green apparition standing by the bed, like a green. And we went back, and I had a blast, because at first I thought it was me. So I danced, I moved. We took 200 pictures. We backlit me, we frontlit me. I walked everything we could do to get this to show up in her camera, and it didn't. So it's fun. It's a unique place.
Well, I'm supposed to be doing the Fort Henry this coming spring or summer, so this is something that's in the works for us. I was talking to was it Dave Gibb from Chaps, and it's a big location, so it's something we were thinking of doing jointly with his team. If it's a big place, maybe if everything goes well, maybe you guys would like to join in.
We would love to. It's always Fort Henry. There's enough to run 4 DVRs there. Cover a lot easily.
Yeah,
there's
it's a big place.
Yeah, we had the chandeliers shaking upstairs, and that's concrete.
Yeah, concrete doesn't shake that easy, unless there's an earthquake going on. But
no, we looked up, and everybody's like smiling. So these looked like somebody grabbed him and went like that, and they were just.
And it was just the one, just the one room.
But our best experience at Fort Henry, and people don't realize that sometimes it's not the paranormal.
Yeah,
we got the perfect storm at midnight, like torrential downpour, lightning. And every door in the fort, it's an old building, was loose and opened up. And it went from, we're no longer paranormal investigating, we're saving the fort by shutting the doors.
We're no more investigating. We're going to save the fort first.
And the second thing at Fort Henry, and that I tell everybody, there's a goat on the grounds at all times.
Yeah.
That's the best thing to watch people scream at the night when they walk by the window and there's a goat head. So Satan's.
Well, you gotta have a bit of fun, right?
Satan's looking at him.
Satan's looking at him with the horns.
Yes, that's what we
So,
always see in movies. Me and Roger is like, you need to go look in that window.
well, that's what you do. You got to scare the newbies for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Give them a run for their money.
Oh yeah.
So we got some great comments here. Actually, we have Brandon here. Pretty much gave us all a compliment. He says our is very educational what we're talking about. So educated, he says. We're very educated. That's a good thing. Thanks for the compliment, Brandon. A couple more comments I'll pop up for you guys. Maybe the metaphor symbolism beyond prison asylum holds some kind of weight in the afterlife. Yeah, possibility. Obviously, we're not going to be able to answer all these questions because we'll be going till like 9 o'clock. But I'm just posting I am opposite. Some backstory may turn up a name. You're going to make a contact more personal, maybe getting a response easier. Yeah, I mean, like I said, everybody's got their own way of investigating, right? So I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. There's just different ways of doing it.
Yeah, and then that's being different teams and being okay.
Exactly, yeah. So Brandon's got a bunch of comments. 1,800 ladies playing Tarzan, haha. Yeah, and then he does ha 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 some more.
And see, now you won't get out of your mind tonight.
Yeah, the lady. It reminds me every time. I don't know if you guys watched the movie. What was it? The Lady in Black with the guy that plays what's his name? I can never remember his name. The actor, the one that plays Harry Potter. There, what's his name? My wife knows.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, the ghost in there is a lady in a Victorian dress in black, and that's your typical kind of apparition, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
So here, Fort Henry, he says Fort Henry would be a great place to bring some 18th century military music.
Well, story behind that with my wife, if you got a minute.
Yeah. I used to be in the military.
Yeah.
I was in the reserves for 20 years. And one of the things that I did quite a bit was give drill. So we went out there at night and, I don't know, it was somewhere around 1 o'clock in the morning. And so I just decided to, all right, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to call everybody to order, make them stand at attention and do some drill sequences.
Mhm.
Well, suddenly all of our meters, all of our eddies, everything just started lighting up. It was a light show.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah. When that kind of stuff happens, that's just amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I was gonna say something here. Hold on.
Oh,
Lost my train of thought. Okay, so so I want to mention that we are going to do live feeds together at certain investigations. One of them is going to be a joint live feed with my buddy Larry in Florida, who's part of the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigations. Actually, Larry is a police officer. Actually, he's a detective in Florida. So he does a lot of his takes a lot of his detective experience and puts this into the paranormal investigations. So we had discussed that we're going to do a joint live feed with Larry, one location in Canada, my team, Nightwatchmen, and Larry's team, all a live feeding at the same time. 2 locations, one in Canada, one in the States. So this is something we're going to be doing sometime this spring. So this is still in the works, but this is something that that's coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I enjoy that. I enjoy people being there, and sometime I just want everybody to, if you tune into that, ask us. Go ahead and send it to Dan or whoever's watching the Spirits in the Center.
Yeah.
Have them ask us a question or have them go. If you got a hunch, it's kind of fun.
Yeah. You just got to follow your instincts, right?
It changes our night too.
Yeah.
So I start singing to myself. I go hoarse at the end of the night. I talk all night. If you've investigated with me, people are like, Mark, shut up.
Oh my God.
Is it the same thing with you guys? Once it gets really late, you get the giggles. It's like giggles time, and then you have trouble kind of being serious because you're just so darn tired.
When we were on in Ottawa, we had a guy that was a possible member, and he brought butter tarts to the investigation.
Okay.
Yeah, they were the best butter tarts I've ever eaten. And once we ate them, it was a minute later, the 5 of us were slap happy, and we called the investigation. It was 2 in the morning. We're like, sugar high, old people.
Sugar rush, yeah, a big sugar rush, and then next thing you know, yeah. Yeah, it gets weird when it gets late at night. You get tired, and then and again, it's not really easy what we do. Let's make this straight with people watching. It's not always easy. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's boring, sometimes it can get dangerous. You can get a lot of emotional issues, sometimes depending on the location. So, but sometimes it is fun, and it's okay to have fun at investigations.
Oh, it definitely is.
Okay.
Yeah, and how many people, I always tell guys, how many people can say they rented Fort Henry? I have.
There you go. Okay, so guys, that's gonna bring the we're at an hour 35 minutes here. So I'm gonna stay on maybe for 5 minutes to answer a few questions once I lock you guys off. But yeah, we're gonna be doing some stuff together. Our
Yeah,
team, my team, and your team, and all of us together, different investigations. Hopefully, this spring and summer, we're gonna work together and do all these cool locations. Hopefully, this live feed with Larry from Florida and some other investigations together. That'd be great.
it'll be good. Thanks for having us tonight. I appreciate everybody taking the time to watch us.
Yes, we've had quite a lot of viewers, a lot of good questions actually, and yes, thanks guys for actually coming on the show. And I am looking forward to doing a lot of stuff with you guys in the future.
So are we.
So
We really enjoy working with you and your crew. So it's a good mix.
I
Looking
think
forward.
so. I think we blend well together for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Thanks again for coming on the show, and I'll be in touch with you guys shortly. To like I told you, I have a meeting with Larry tomorrow at 2 o'clock to discuss the live feed, and then hopefully, maybe what we can do is have a chat. Maybe me, you and Cheryl and Larry all together, so we can actually discuss this live feed we want to do together.
Okay, great.
Maybe Roger will be back from Cuba.
Roger, yeah, Roger. If Roger wants to attend as well, he's more than welcome. Obviously, yeah, sure.
Good guy.
He's still in Cuba.
Cuba.
Rotten son of a.
He's where?
In Cuba.
Oh, the bastard! Seriously, and he doesn't get to suffer like us in this snow.
It's beautiful. Yeah. All right.
Actually, Larry sent me a text the other day. He says, "Hey Dan, it's 80 degrees out here in Florida." I said,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he just wanted to rub it in. Say, yeah, it's 80 degrees out here in Florida. It's like, oh, you're such. Oh, I don't like you no more. Anyways. Okay, guys, thanks again for being on the show, and I'll be in touch with you guys shortly to plan all this stuff that we have going on for this year.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for
Have a
having
good
us.
one, everybody.
Yeah, you have a good night, guys.
Yep. Sleep tight. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'll try. Good night, guys. Okay, take care. Bye. All right, guys. So I have this was Mark and Cheryl from the Nightwatchmen investigative team. Great couple, great team, very well educated and seasoned investigators. So I'm gonna stay on a bit here too. Okay, so Brandon, thanks for clarifying. It's Daniel Radcliffe, the guy that plays Harry Potter, and he plays in the Lady in Black. And Armando. Sorry, I didn't want to call you Amanda. I apologize for that, Armando. Glad to hear you had activity at Fort Henry. I think I had experience with the shadow person and someone caught Teresa on voice box in jailhouse, as well as a caretaker that cursed you out. Perfect. That's pretty cool, Armando. Thanks for sharing that. We have Judy here, like coming to the feed. Judy, I'm going to be signing off soon. The feed has been going on for about an hour and 38 minutes, but thanks for tuning in. Time watching, great show. Everyone very thanks for the compliment, Judy. Tune in. I have some other shows coming up. I'm not sure when my next one is. I can just check my calendar right now. Let you guys know when the next planned Ghost Talks is gonna be on. Next one coming up will be on March 19th. Now, on March 19th, I will be talking with John Moore from OPRI, which is an abbreviation for Ottawa Paranormal Research and Investigation. Now, John is a demonologist. He's attended multiple exorcisms. Unfortunately, he can't share a lot of those experiences because of privacy reasons. But John Moore will be on March 19th, and we will be discussing the demonology and how it plays a role in paranormal investigations. So that's coming up on March 19th. All right, so we have Thanks, Judy. Yes, that's what we're working. It's we're trying to work together as different teams, because the thing is, we're all looking for the same thing, right? We're all paranormal investigators. We're looking for evidence of the paranormal and potentially evidence of the afterlife, which is very hard to prove, but we're trying. Thanks, Roger. It's nice here. Okay, perfect. Okay, first time watching, great show. Thanks, Judy, for the compliment once again. So we got Brandon had another comment here. You guys are awesome. Love to get info and gear and such. Hang up, but become more skeptic with the years. I'm just mumbling to myself because I'm reading Brandon's comment. Before about just thanks for sharing that, Brandon. Yeah, it's yeah, great stories about yeah, so your apartment. Very cool. Very cool. But yeah, I think, Brandon, I think it's important that you do stay a skeptic. It's okay to believe in the paranormal. Obviously, if we do it, it's because we have a belief in it, but you have to keep a certain level of skepticism in order to find actual evidence. If you're too biased, if you're just so, how would I put it, hell bent on finding evidence, well, probably you're going to find it, but is it going to be real true evidence? Probably not if you're not skeptic enough about it, and if you need to debunk your stuff as much as you can. All right. So we got Heath. Thanks for the compliment. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. So thanks, Brandon. Tune in on March 19th, Brandon. I enjoyed having you on as a show spectator, I guess you could say. Please tune in again on March 19th with John Moore from Opry, which we will be talking about demonology and probably some other subjects as well. So I think we're done for the night. I hope I answered everybody's questions. I'd like to thank again Mark and Cheryl from the Nightwatchmen investigative team for being on this show this evening. And I'm looking forward to the next show on March 19th with John Moore from Opry. So what time, Brandon? Most of the shows are going to be between 7 and 8. Obviously tonight we go overboard sometimes, but that's fine. Usually the shows is going to be between 7 and 8 p.m. on March 19th with John Moore. Okay, guys, I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in once again to this Ghost Talks live feed, and tune in again on March 19th for another episode of Ghost Talks. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night, guys. I always have this problem. Logging off. I'm always pressing the wrong buttons. Hold on. Let me try this again. There we go. I got the right spot now. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night. See you on March 19th at 7 p.m. for the next episode of Ghost Talks. Good night.